Okay, this is going to be an update video and to show you basically my progress on converting the game to Victoria 2. This is obviously EU4 here, and just showing off the end of the game here. Now, I've done a little bit of work off on my own that I didn't feel needed to be shown because it's a lot of bulk work, but the most part of what I've been working with is just the Middle East and India. And here I will pull up Vicky 2 so you can see what I've done, and then we'll actually do a little bit just to show you what I've been doing. So here's Victoria 2, and this is using the pop demand mod because a lot of people seem to want me to do that, and it's not as... It seemed really bad for modding the last time I used it. Maybe that was just because I wasn't as experienced. But anyway, what we have here is basically we've set our borders in the Middle East in general how we want them. I haven't done anything with Egypt or anything like that, or anything with Africa, but with the main part of India, and a lot of these are probably going to end up being placeholders, or I'll just change the name in the localization or something. These are just people who had cores on the main parts of these places. I can't even remember off the top of my head who these people are actually supposed to be. Malwa, Gondwana, that sort of thing. It doesn't really matter. But basically, the first thing you have to do is you have to either change the localization for a country or make a completely new country. What I did for a lot of these Indian places was I just picked a country that already existed and slapped that in place. And luckily for me, at least in the pop demand mod, I think in the normal game, Flanders already exists, so I didn't have to do anything for that. Arabia is actually from... I don't know. It's something, but I haven't done anything with pops yet. So basically, the three countries you can see here that I've made are the Immortals, who are currently blue. Us. I could have just used Persia, but I actually wanted Persia to have separate cores, so I left that there. Kurdistan was probably in one of the mods. I just have pop demand mod. I don't know if there's anything else in that. And the Zoropope over here, who's currently a bright green because I can't read RGB numbers very well, and I was trying to make it a different color, but no, it's green. You may also notice that I have Nepal set as a puppet right now, and one of the reasons I'm thinking about doing more puppet stuff is, well, one of the things you can see over here is that I've kept a lot of these places colonial, as they should be, in my opinion. If the British don't have, cores and states on things in India, then we shouldn't either. Even though we boarded them, I mean, I didn't bother changing the cultures or building buildings or anything, so it's basically the same as European colonizing. It's not. I mean, we're civilized, so we don't. It's not like, Japan taking over Southeast Asia, where they just automatically get states. So I felt that was fair. However, it does kind of gimp our populations and stuff. And you might notice. The heck. That because of the numbers and because I haven't converted everything, we've got quite a lot of Hindus and Sunnis and stuff in our thing, and that's mostly from India, but also because I haven't converted some of the places along the Levant and Syria and stuff like that. I haven't converted those to in the pops, but I did a little bit of pop changing, and you notice that I actually added Zoroastrian to the game. You have to do a weird thing with the interface things to actually put in new images, but I managed to work it out. So that's enough about that. and right now we've got placeholder government types and stuff like that, because I didn't feel like changing that stuff before I did the map stuff. So let's change. Let's do it. An example of something I've been doing. So let's say right here we want to put whatever's there. So I already know this, but it's Active. And I'm basically working my way outwards, doing the Zorosphere first in India, because I was working with India for my provinces, so I figured I might do that. And I just started working on what's in the Soviet folder, in the Victoria 2 province folder. This stuff, a lot of this stuff is actually like not colonized, that I actually had to add colonies to it. And these will be Immortals colonies as well. And I actually left this as a colony because it's a desert with very few people who live here, even though we've owned this for a long time. I had it for a puppet for a long time, and maybe they wrecked the place, I don't know. But it didn't make sense for the place we started in to not be occupied by us. So I left that as a state. And I've left most of the cultures the same, although I might convert areas over here to being Persian. For the most part, I just want to leave it the same to make things harder for us. Now, say we want to put Active here. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to figure out where we want their capital to be. And that's not really the first thing we want to do, but I think Astrakhan would make a good capital for them. It's a sort of a well-populated province. Actually, it's not. How about Azov, then? They own that, right? That little piece of land? Close enough. I don't really care about I was going to convert them out of the game, so Azov it is. Or maybe Rostov. Are these the same? We'll say Azov for now. Which means I have to do something else here. Because I didn't do that the way I wanted to do. So, and you'll see here what I mean by the Soviet folder. And just find Azov and open them up. So over here we have our editor, and we can see here that it uses basically the same. I was going to use this. I'm still going to use this as the base for my country, but I'm not going to use that province anymore. Although I could have left that open because they're still going to own that. So we're going to leave this here for now. But the first thing we need to do is make a tag for them. And you'll see that if I scroll down to the Middle East, I've already made the Persian Republic tag, and it's KZR because it's I don't know. I think it was supposed to stand for Karen Zoroastrian Republic or something like that. It was just a tag that wasn't used, so I did that. So we want something that is in Russia. And a lot of these are just pop demand mod stuff. And I put them at the top here so that I'm not messing with the base stuff at the bottom. So we've got to think of a tag for this. Well, I like putting Z's in there for Zoroastrian, so let's just do AKZ. And then we got to direct the file to look for something. So how about we just do this. And then now we have to make this file. We'll save this. And this doesn't do anything if I have the game open. It works fine. So here I have the Astrakhan folder open. So basically what I just want to do here is I just want to copy this wholesale and not really change anything. So we want to change this in the same folder that it's in before. as ActB. And then that's fine. And it'll just use that file for all this stuff. I can go in and change it later, and it's fine. What did I do here? Okay, whatever. I thought I added a space there, but I didn't. Okay, so we have Astrakhan here as the base for our country. So we can see Azov here is 1047. So we will add that instead as the culture there. And they will add a Zoroastrian as the country name, as the religion. And the government actually would be democracy, since they were a noble republic that converts as democracy in the converter, which doesn't work, but, you know, whatever. And I think the rest of this is fine. I could set them as a non-civilized, because they were in the Muslim tech group. I probably should. So, okay. Let's take that out. So now they're going to be uncivilized. We'll save that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's actually instead go here and save it as and that will be what we were doing. And again, I can just leave it like this, a Jefferson method. And there's a couple other things you do want to do, and there's something else you need to do. At this point, everything's fine with the... Oh. There needs to be space there. You need to have a flag for this, otherwise the game won't work right. So, let's go ahead and open these. These are again the Astrakhan flags. But here I have the EU4 picture for their flag. So one of the things I just want to do here is I just want to resize the picture, make it 64 by 64, because that fits on this these pictures here. So we want to find their Republic flag. We could just use their base flag. Yeah, we'll just use the base flag. So as you can see, they're kind of low resolution, but that's fine. It doesn't really show up in game. So we just want to, you know, kind of do this. And this is basically my lazy way of making images. There we go. Stick that fucker in the middle. A little bit centered. And then just I use paint.net because it's free and, you know, whatever. Alright. There we go. And we have a flag for ActB if we wanted to use that. So here we want to save this as AKZ instead. And then I could make other flags for that, but one of the things you can do is you can just do it the lazy way and just make a bunch of the same thing. Just to have all of the files you need. And you can go back and change them later. I really like the way Victoria 2 does flags and country names and stuff like that. And then Republic. And that's fine. So there we go. We've got the flags we need. And then we can just get out of here. Save that. So now if we go into, I don't think I have the flag thing open. If we go into the flag folder, it'll be in there. So the next thing you probably want to do is do a localization, so that it'll pop up in there. And I just made my own localization file. And as you can see, we have Persia here doing its thing, and then the Zoro Pope over here, which is ZPP. I just like using the Z's. So let's just go ahead and just do the country localization. So I guess this is, yeah, this is A. We want to add it to the top. You want to keep things in alphabetical order, otherwise it gets confusing. At least it does for me, but I'm stupid, so. And what should their adjective be? Okay, I'll just leave it as active be. I don't know, whatever. It's fine. And we'll save that. And at this point, everything should work, except that it doesn't actually have any place that exists. So, if we go in here and change the controller and stuff to that, and a lot of times we'll just leave the basic thing there, just in case I want to do something with it later. So I'll leave the old cores on there for the most part, unless I'm just piecemeal, or wholesale replacing a country. But for example here, Russia, I might want to do something with Russia later. So I'll leave the cores on there for now. And then you can save this. And this is my mod folder. So I'm not messing with anything in the game. And I have it copied into a special thing so that I don't have to worry about messing up my normal Victoria 2 install. I have it installed on Steam, so I can just uninstall and reinstall it really easily if I needed to without any problems, but it's easier that way. So, okay. Let's actually quit the game, and then we want to reopen it. And as you can see here, I have this is the pop demand mod, and this is something else I was looking at, but nobody has said anything about that. It was just a big mod pack. So this is the name of my mod. It's just the tag I was using. It's just because that's the easiest way for me to recognize that. We got some pretty loading screens. I'm sorry, this is kind of like a little bit more low-tech than I usually do. This is basically me doing this instead of streaming this for now, because I don't think I'm doing anything really interesting and worth streaming. That might come down the road later when I'm actually like doing events and stuff, or like determining alliances and things like that later. But the things I'm doing right now are pretty tedious, so I don't think anybody would want to. It's got this nice, the Pop Demand mod has this nice splash screen at the beginning. I really like it. So, if we look in here, we will see that we have Actibi already in the game. You'll notice that it says Persian Republic is number 1, but we actually go into the game, I think we're number 10? I don't remember. But it's 9. Okay, so it's based on prestige, and I set myself to have a pretty low amount of prestige. so that it reflects the fact that I haven't really been doing anything with the quote-unquote civilized world, which is what the game focuses on. I've been just basically beating up on people that are doing colony stuff, which you don't gain or lose a lot of prestige for. So now this country exists, and I can go in and I can say, okay, I want them to this province and this province and this province and whatever, and just go in into the Soviet thing and say, okay, I want to have, let's say Astrakhan. We just go in here and we just go in and add everything else. And one of the things I like to do is like delineate the borders first, so that it is easier for me to recognize where I have to put things. And then we just save it. And because it's in the mod folder, it just does it fine. And if I just take the mod off, it won't run them the same way. So that's basically what I've been doing. There's a lot of work that's coming up, and I tried to work with a converter for a while, but that basically was a fool's errand, and there was nothing really to do. One of the things that's odd is that a lot of the Pop Demand mod adds a lot of weird things that I don't know what it's supposed to do, rebalance the game or something, but none of it's going to really matter. A lot of it is start changes, like China not having substates and Japan having substates. I don't understand that, but whatever. It's not really relevant. And you'll see I haven't really assigned any, like, I don't have these guys as puppet states or anything, and I don't know how things will really play out as far as that goes. I did decide that I wasn't going to assign any islands for the reason that the colonization in this game is more akin to developing the colonies and less like you're just claiming them like in EU4. And you can build buildings and colonies and stuff like that, but it's like things that in the scope of EU4 would already be huge states are not necessarily those in Victoria 2. There's no way that if you had a converted game that any of these would ever end up being colonies. So plus it means less work for me, honestly. But I'm basically going to be spiraling out from here, and I'll probably do a couple more update videos when I think I have anything else interesting that I need to report on. But I'll probably do Actaby and the Immortals next. I put the Immortals here because there were provinces here that I didn't want having some weird tag. And then I'll probably do the rest of the Balkans, and then Eastern Africa, and then just work my way around the Indian Ocean. And then I'll probably save China for after I do Europe, because it's got a lot of provinces. So, although Europe has a lot of provinces too, I don't know which order I'll do it in. Actually, because I own this province here, I'll probably end up having that be... I'll probably end up doing China before that. I haven't really decided what I really want to do with that, but I assume that everything will look the same. But that's not really relevant at this point. You can see that there's a lot of weird shaped provinces, like Chittagong's got this weird thing on there. And some of these things might not be exactly where the provinces were in EU4, but I don't really care about that. I just want the maps to look nice. And I even like changed the position of some of the countries and expanded them just so they would look better. Okay, so I think that's good for an update. I will see you next time I have something to say, which might be tomorrow, it might be in a week. And I may eventually get around to streaming whatever I'm doing once I get to things that can really actually use, feedback and stuff like that. And I can always reassign provinces and stuff like that. But for now, I'm basically doing province assignments and a little bit of pop stuff. I'll probably just focus on the pops within the Persian Empire. And then, to be completely honest, I may not bother to do pops anywhere else because nobody will notice that I'm doing that because we can't really look at the pops anywhere else. At least not to my knowledge. Yeah, we could just kind of see vaguely the pops in those places, and we can't really see anything in depth. And it won't matter, honestly, in the end, whether it says that it's not or it's Russian, for example. And it would just take a shitload of work for me to go in here and say, okay, I need to change everything that's Russian here to Tartar, because oh my god, like it would just be a pain in the ass. And that's basically what I did the last time I did this, and nobody noticed. So I'm just gonna be honest about it this time. I'll probably just cop out and do it that way. So I will see you next time.